Hi, everybody. I'm Curt Doty with RealmIQ. This is our podcast, RealmIQ Sessions, where we talk about everything AI with AI leaders from around the world. Today's guest is Lauren Wallett, all the way from London. She's an AI advocate, an evangelist, and a personal branding and social media guru. Welcome, Lauren. I know you do a lot. If I missed anything, please elaborate on your illustrious career, and let's get into it.
Amazing. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, you can call me whatever you want. I'm just a creative, so I'll wear all the different hats depending on the occasion.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a creative too, and I think that's maybe what we have in common the most. And I think it's interesting as AI has birthed a lot of AI experts, right? From seemingly from out of nowhere. And what I find interesting is I'm most interested in people who have an existing pedigree of success or track record doing this type of work before AI entered into the fray, and then synthesize how AI can help you and your own creativity and or your clients' work. And I just think there's a lot of newsletters going on and chat GPT cheat sheets that are done by basically someone who's not even good at infographic design just decided to start a newsletter. And it's like, okay, but what were you before? So I try to have conversations on this podcast with people who are really qualified, I think, to be an AI expert, because they figured out how to take a new technology and apply it to their older or existing career, of which they have decades of experience. And that's you. So tell me, how you first embraced AI and what you've done with it and what you were doing with it and what do you see the future as?
Yeah. So yeah, I love that huge question with multi-layers. That's just my best. I think that AI is a tool to help you accelerate and amplify everything that you are currently doing and want to achieve in the future. So as a creative person, I like to expand into lots of different dimensions, usually simultaneously. And what AI has enabled me to do is to do that a lot faster. So when you have a creative insight, it comes to you fully formed, but then you live in the world and you have to take it step by step and all these stages and build the teams and slowly assemble the thing. And you've got to really find that personal motivation to keep going, keeping your eye on the thing which you saw so crystallized and formed in your mind. What I love about AI is that it shortens that distance. I can think of something and I can do it. It's still not as fast as I would like it to be. So I started building a custom GPT on Friday evening. I thought it would be done within 30 minutes and I could load it up. And then I kept having bugs. And then I maxed out my time and I had to wait an hour. And then it was bedtime and I had to wait. And so even that I found frustrating. And then this morning I wrapped it up over coffee. I built my GPT. It's called GP Tarot. So it's a tarot reader in your pocket, and it just does a lot of the things I would do as like a professional tarot reader, but it's a lot of energy to do that for people. So I was like, let me just train a GPT to do what I would do for free. Someone can enjoy it over their morning coffee. But there were so many like little bugs and things, and then it was timing out. So even though it works at the speed of light and can then create all these custom visuals based on the tarot spread of how that applies to your life, so you can see the insights visualized for you. I mean, really, truly magical things that this thing can do. It still like ran out and I wanted more. So I feel we're at a good starting point for AI, but it's not where it could be, because a creative person is always going to want everything times 1,000, faster, more, bigger, GPTs at once. So it has helped me a lot, but I love the fact that we're really just at the beginning. And I think for anyone with a vision for the future or a clear perspective or philosophy that they would like to see lived out in action, not just theory, but the practical application of ideas, AI really helps us to manifest these things in reality, because we can show others what we mean. They can play with the thing we've created, and it's not just locked up for certain people who have the information. It now becomes a play tool that anyone can experiment with the tool, even if they didn't create it. So AI has helped me tremendously just to get those ideas faster at speed. when I first decided to move into software after 20 years of being in marketing and entrepreneurship, of like having businesses, selling them, working with global companies, working with startups, doing that whole thing internationally, AI, or ChatGPT, should I say, came out, in December, when I had started this concept, this idea, November, working on it. And I realized that a lot of what I thought would be quite complex for me to do was extremely simple. And that continues to improve. Like, the tools that exist help me to amplify what I'm trying to create. So far, nothing has replaced what I'm trying to create. Certain things I think are major distractions from someone's perspective, because it's like the shiny object syndrome, where you think, oh, that's cool, but it actually diverts you from your primary purpose, which is creating something of value and impact. But it's fun to explore that. But AI has definitely enabled the speed. And I love the ease and the speed for any creative pursuit.
Cool. Now, you mentioned software development. Tell me about how you made that transition from being a service provider to actually developing software. And what's the name of your product, and tell us about it.
Sure. So the software is called Creatrix. It's a SaaS tool. It's an AI super tool, your all-in-one content marketing generator. It's not just generative AI, although that is a part of it. It also includes creative direction, predictive analytics, and audience sentiment. So the tool is the culmination of everything I've been working on for 20 years, both as an academy owner and an agency owner. So with the agency, I was doing that services work for people, coming up with the strategy, implementing it, managing it, taking the analytics, iterating on the plan, creating the new content forecast, like tons of different roles into one different agency. And then with my academy, I was training small business owners. How do you use marketing to amplify your business? How do you use creative content to cultivate a community, test out multiple different offers, and scale, whether that's products or services? The software, the AI, now takes the agency and the academy rolled into one at scale and for exponential growth. So where I had thought that initially it would be a beautiful foundational support piece to an existing agency model, it can also be used by individuals. And the first model that I built, I've actually sold to an individual who is using the model to build her entire agency on top of, like a foundational piece. So to give you a simple overview of how it works, you take any social media URL in the world, you pop that into the Creatrix model, and then it starts its process of connecting with the API, gathering all the data, sorting all the posts, ranking them in terms of audience popularity, and then creating for you a visual audit. So the top 10 posts visually explained that you can then swipe through and either make your own notes or get AI to pull your notes. This is where I suggest the 20% of human touch comes in, because human insight just helps you have your own artistic direction where you get into the generative part. So I see this tool as really enabling you to scale your own artistic vision, thinking of yourself as like a movie director, like as Wes Anderson or Tarantino or ever. Like, your style, Curt, will be different to Lauren's style, different to Haley's style. So our interpretation of this post, even though all our insights will be true, will pull on different relevant details. So you write down a couple of words of why this post works, and then those insights get combined in the drawing room and get turned into any marketing deliverable you want in the world. So do you want ad copy, a script, a podcast, a book, your captions for every single post, an entire strategy? Do you want a competitors report? Like, if you can dream it, Creatrix can do it. And that's why it's not like normal software, it's a custom model. And I don't know how to say this any more simply, but it's like having a baby dragon. It's like having your own pet, okay? It's like an avatar where you pair with your creature. Like, you plug it in and it becomes yours, and no one's Creatrix will be the same. Everyone will ride it differently depending on what they want to create. But once they've built it, you can literally sit back and touch a button and it'll create whatever you want from a pinnacle of excellence, because it has only taken a tiny percentage of the top 10 posts over the entire time span that you've audited. And those tiny insights are now used to leverage way better content or way better product insight or audience sentiment. So the whole principle is starting with less and starting with quality instead of traditional generative AI, which is give me an idea and it'll give you some generic idea. And as you can see now, everyone's doing that. Like everyone can do average. We need creative excellence.
I
So you
love
want to
that.
start from the excellence.
I love that. Everyone can do average because, I call it the sea of mediocrity.
100%. We're drowning in it.
And how many, monkeys in space helmets can you look at? And, it's great that you can play with it. And it's like, but really, I have another phrase called play with purpose. So if you're in this adoption curve, playing with purpose means, no, I have a specific outcome that I'm trying to get, and I'm trying to do multimodal or platform hopping exploration to get the results that I want. And by doing it with purpose, you're trying to solve a specific problem, and with your growing learning of these platforms and what they offer, you're finding the best solution with the results that maybe matches what is in your head as that kernel of inspiration. But at the end of the day, you have a very specific outcome. And I think that type of, playing around, whether you're a true creative or if you're, I don't know, you could be an auto mechanic and just want to do car drawings, whatever. But if you have a specific goal in mind, you're going to be much more passionate about problem solving and using all these platforms that are wonderful to solve your
have that
for a specific outcome, right? And I love the fact that you've kind of bypassed this whole, hey, have fun with AI and do crazy imagery with Midjourney. It's like, no, here's from a business perspective, here's all the possibilities, and here's how to do it. And yes, eventually there will be some imagery generated to support a campaign, but here's your whole campaign. So the next question I want to ask you, we share some of their backgrounds in terms of, agency model type of creative services, which, fee for services type of consulting or accounts. And here comes this productivity tool, and the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows everybody's using it. And so there's this dilemma with people who do billable hours or fee for service and have embraced AI, generative AI. So the client, I'll wear the client hat. They're saying, oh, you're using that AI stuff. Cool. So that mean your prices are coming down because you can do it so much more quickly? And the design community, I feel, has to hold strong that our value lies in not how quickly we can do these tasks with or without AI. Our value lies in our years of experience, the solutions, and these tools are actually helping us perform better for you, Mr. Client, and do more for you, Mr. Client, Mr. or Mrs. Client. And there's this delicate balance. There's also this furor over non-creatives saying, hey, cool, I don't have to hire an illustrator anymore, a photographer, a designer. I don't have to talk to these creative people who are always trying to upcharge me. I've heard that argument. It's like, okay, I never want to work with you, okay, because you don't value what creative people actually do. So how do we as creatives combat this narrative out there and still hold our ground in terms of proving ourselves of having value? We just happen to be supercharged by AI and or whatever platforms we're using, but still go out there with a solid business proposition and value proposition for our clients. What are your thoughts on that? Do you run into that? What are your conversations like with clients?
Well, I named my first business Malva, which is the name of a South African dessert, the most delicious dessert. It's like a sticky toffee pudding. And I reopened my agency this year to prove the Creatrix model for clients. And I named it Malva for the simple reason that the proof is in the pudding. I'll show you my results. My results will speak for themselves. It's about impact. It's not about how long it takes me. It's about how impactful what I created is for the community. Now, when you become a master at something, if you look at any master sportsman or creative or artist, musician, they make what they do look effortless. It looks like play. You see a gymnast do something and you think, I could do that, until you try, like, even lift your leg or whatever. It's impossible for us. They make it look easy. That's mastery. Mastery looks like play. That's what happens when we get good at something. If it takes us hours and we're stumbling and it's difficult, that does not mean that it has more value. It means we need more practice. It means we need to get more flexible and resilient and better it is what we're doing. Now, I would far rather have Picasso, a terrible example because I don't like that artist, but it just popped into my mind. But say a less controversial character than Picasso, but say Picasso draws me a squiggle for a logo. I would far rather have his 2-second squiggle than someone spending hours working on something and they've got no artistic talent. Like, if it comes out of you fully formed, amazing. I would rather save my time than the back and forth. The idea of time for money is one of the biggest insanities I've ever seen in the world. It makes absolutely no sense that something should be more difficult for you, so you should be compensated more, well, better for it. That means that you should hire me to be a sports person. That's insane. Like, because it would be so hard for me that what, it's more valuable? No, it's opposite. It means I'm not in the right lane. Mm-hmm. We should be doing things that come easy to us. You should be able to work with a creative and they come up with something that maybe takes them a couple of minutes, but it gets you the results. And that's how you know what the value is. So time for money has just got to stop. And I'm hoping that AI wipes that out altogether, because we should absolutely not be selling our brains or our bodies for money. That just means that we are the tool and we are not the tool. We are the ones wielding the tool, using it to our benefit. We are the architects of what we are creating. We're not meant to be the bricklayers. Get AI and software and systems and tools to do the grunt work for us. That's not what a human is meant to do. We're the creatives. So that's what I see the value as becoming. And any person who wants you to take a long time to do something, I mean, sure, if that's I mean, I wouldn't work with people like that, but if they want it to take long, then you can just say, sure, it's going to take 2 weeks and give it to them in 2 weeks. Delay the process, make a prettier proposal. Some people don't understand that something can come out and be outstanding because they don't know what outstanding even is. And that was the biggest thing for me to contend with when I built my software. It overwhelmed me because it used to take me 2 weeks to do a client audit. And suddenly it was done in 2 seconds. And I actually didn't know what to do with myself. So I just like, it was too fast. I had to emotionally catch up to my creation. And then when I did, I realized, okay, you have the results of the grunt work, but this is the starting point. What do you actually want to do with this? How do you want to design it? How do you want to make this digestible? What are the most interesting aspects of these answers? Because they're all here. You could ask a million questions. What are the 3 most vital questions? Do you put those in a blog post? How do you package them? If you think of Tiffany's packaging, they make a simple bracelet or a ring look so valuable because of the whole experience of that branding. Now, you could take a diamond and wrap it in newspaper and it would still be as valuable, but it wouldn't be as fun to receive. Mm-hmm. So how do you put that Tiffany's approach on something you've created? Because the answer's there. So now it's time for elevation. And that's where the time and spaciousness is needed, that my grunt work was done. And I could start to think, what do I really want to do with this? How do I expand this into something that hasn't been quite done yet? And that required a lot of walking and resting and dreaming. And suddenly my output started to become a lot more interesting. And I don't actually need to do more audits with my software, even though it can, even though my software could do 1,000 audits, but I don't know, every couple of minutes. I do like 1 a month, hey? Like I barely touch it, because the rest of the time I'm playing with the gold that's been extracted. I'm creating those gems, those jewels, the jewelry. I'm creating the value from the raw material.
Right. So you're reaching a higher level of creativity because you're not being that bricklayer and doing exactly the grunt work, or hiring someone to do the grunt work, hiring a researcher or a data analyst. So you're able to do it very quickly. And then what do you do with that information? And that's where your creative value shines. And you can take 2 weeks, a month, whatever, but you very quickly got your base of research and persona development, whatever you're looking for in your software, which is really cool. I do want to play with that, by the way, so we should talk about that offline because I could use it tomorrow. So in terms of the future of AI, there's a lot of controversies, as you know, but I think you and I share a belief that focusing on the good is a good thing, and because there's so many positives. How do you combat the negative doomsdayer scenarios, or engage with someone, whether it's a client who's dubious, or just a colleague who just won't have anything to do with this? Besides, you're the proof in the pudding, obviously, and I love that phrase that you coined and related it to Malva, right? What are the conversations that you're having?
I always try, well, I remember it for myself, and I try to remind anyone I'm speaking of our humanity, that we are people. And I believe that connection is our currency. And that as we move more and more into the future, we're becoming so acutely aware of what it feels like to resonate with people who are on your frequency, on your vibe. I think social media has shown us such a fakeness of people that it is very easy to see through it. It's why I think traditional advertising is so repulsive to people, why LinkedIn can be so irritating, why we just don't vibe with influencers, the whole thing, because it's inauthentic, it feels cringy, it's irritating. The whole thing is annoying because ultimately we're all people and we all share the same emotions. And when you tap into that, it's just much easier to connect directly. So what my hope is, and what I see happening, is that we are shifting, I'm going to say it in 2 words, simply, from meta, which is Zuckerberg and demographic marketing and Amazon Analytics and AI, into theater, into back to the original art forms of storytelling and humans talking to one another and sharing things that matter and listening to people who's like word of mouth marketing. Like, we are so inundated with everything out there. I'm not going to listen to, I don't believe it, the stuff I see online. But if you tell me something and I know who you're associated to, and I've got a relationship with you, I'm going to listen and trust you. So that's becoming more and more prevalent. So now how do we do that with our services and our products? How do we make it more human? How do we make it more community driven? Because the other stuff is just ramping up. If we thought social media was that sea of mediocrity, AI is like sewage. Like, there is so much, because everyone can do everything and they can do it times 10. But very few people have an original voice or a perspective. Everyone is churning the same drivel. So we're going to become even more blind to that stuff. When everyone's got access to Midjourney, you need to be the person who is doing like art drawing, like graphic design with your hands, the written word. I was playing around with these generative AI tools of how to make videos, product videos for Creatrix. And I did the robot voice and had all these flashy images. And what's the result of one of those videos? Nothing. No one liked it. When I'm talking, walking down the street or thinking of something or drinking my coffee, more people respond to that. That's not even high production value, but that's real. And it's like there's resonance there. But then I can think to myself, well, what is something I truly love? What is a transcendent connective point or perspective? And I thought, dance. Maybe I could hire a dancer to dance Creatrix. Show me what it feels like when you're pulling all these things together and generating something and birthing these deliverables. And I was moving around the room, and like, it was suddenly so much fun. Got a dancer, and we've been choreographing the Creatrix dance. And I'm going to put it up on stage. Now, that filmed and that shared on social media, far more engaging and entertaining than me being like, are you tired of making your content? Get correct, blah, blah. Like, it just, who cares? But if you see a dance, maybe you'll be intrigued enough to be like, this is outstanding. What is that? What does it mean? How does it apply to me? If you can make someone feel, you can move them to action. And if you can move them to action, they are far more likely to spend their time with you and spend their money with you. So we got to get back to humanity. We've got to get back to the arts, because that is the only thing that has longevity. And entertainment is the only industry that is recession proof, that no matter what is going on in the world, we're always going to crave something to take us out of the mundane into the realm of magic. And that is not faster, more productivity churn. That's art.
Yes, no, and I love your analogy. We need to move from productivity to creativity, and
Yes.
that's a pendulum, right? And I think that the first part of the AI pendulum was the immediate utility that was available to anyone with a computer screen that interfaces with a computer screen had these tools, and they're playing, hey, look what I did, hey, look what I did. And it's like, okay, but why
What?
did you make that funny picture of a cat with a rainbow fur? It's like, what is that doing for anybody?
What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? And I love your metaphor also, because I've used the conductor metaphor, that being the human in the center of all these tools, you're basically conducting this orchestra and orchestrating your results. But I love the motif, the theme, the metaphor of the dancer, as it's very expressive. And so I can't wait for that video to come out.
Yeah, it's just looking really good.
Yeah, cool. So tell me more about any new kind of product releases that you're excited about or ambivalent about. There's just been so much happening, even just within the past 7 days, that, pick and choose whatever you want to talk about, because there's so many things that happen every day.
Yeah, I'll speak about GPTs because that's just come out and I'm just thrilled about that. So, as you know, there've been a lot of companies that have been riding on the coattails of what these bigger companies are doing and kind of taking what they do and wrapping their own interfaces around it, but the meat of it is nothing. It's like it's just little lies. And so it's good packaging, but there's no substance. And there's a lot of companies that have been saying, we can build your AI, or we can build your chatbot, or we can do this for you. And what I love about this is, for me, this is the first time that I've truly seen democratization in action, because it has wiped out all the phonies in one fell swoop, and it has said, no, you can. So I remember engaging with this dreadful company, and I had said to the CEO, do you really believe everyone's going to have their own personal AI? Like, I'll have a Lauren GPT, because that's what I really wanted. And he said, yes, that's what he thought. And I countered that. I said, I think we're going to have 1,000. I don't want one. I want 1,000. Like, I have so many versions that I want to have created. And when I pivoted Malva from a physical space that had first started as a showcase creative space in South Africa, and I moved it into an agency, the event that I did for that shift was in this coffee factory with a huge art gallery installation we did. But I actually had this huge box to think out the box, this big wooden box stage created. And because everything was very art infused, and the back wall was the emblem of Malva, which is the M and V, making that heart shape. And everyone came in and they were all given dot stickers. And a sticker was to represent you, your business, your book, your passion, your hobby, whatever your creations were, however you identified within your creations. And you went and you stuck it all over Malva. And it created this explosion, this confetti of creative celebration and chaos. And how beautiful it is when we all come together. What a celebration that is. And that we are all more than just one thing. And we can be multifaceted. And that's absolutely glorious in its messy chaos. Like, love that. And that's exactly what I see happening now with these GPTs. I get to have GP tarot. Now, I have nothing to do with tarot in my day-to-day life, as I said, but how glorious to have a GP tarot. I've got Reimagining Business, your alternative business mentor who gives people all the advice that I would typically give. It's just trained on my book. I can have all these different GPTs living for me and doing all these fun things. If you have perspectives and points of view that you are definitive about, if you know what those things are. And for so long, we've all been told, but you have to be one thing. You have to be one thing. Like, say I was just a coffee drinker. Like, all I did was drink coffee and talk about coffee shops. I'm only allowed to be that. But of course, we're not only allowed to be defined as one thing. I can talk about coffee obsessively. I can make candles. I can be obsessed with plants. I can love travel. I can do theater. I'm just listing things I like right now,
Right, sure.
Literally, all of those things can be their own GPTs. And I can find multiple communities that can then interconnect. Because often online, people will find me from one thing and then realize, oh, she does that. And it all links back because there's this golden thread of creativity that is connected through everything I do. And every person has that. Even if what you're doing seems so far apart, there's actually something pulling it together. And I think that's your heart, your art.
Right,
art,
your soul,
it's
your artful soul, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. So like, let's not pretend that it's not the exact same thing, but that thing is magnificent and has huge magnitude. It can't be limited to a word or a certain line or vocation. It comes out in all ways. So, for example, and I've been doing this my whole life with all my businesses. I could dance what I'm saying, what I believe. I could sing it. I could paint it. I could make it into businesses, into books. It's going to come out in all the ways it's going to come out, which is this fundamental idea that we are more than just one thing and that we are here to expand into all of ourselves in every endeavor. And that business is an extension and expression of who we are, just as all our art is. So GPTs are just giving us all that freedom. And I hope that everyone goes out there and makes 100 of their own.
Yes, absolutely.
Make it. How delightful.
This conversation is so inspiring because I have a few businesses that I've launched, and some have failed, honestly, and some are in their early stage, some are more mature, and I worry at night, like, am I too diffracted as a brand of myself? Am I not focusing in the right way? When in fact, like you said, I have all these interests. How can I make them known to people and monetize it in ways that I can, because I'm a solopreneur and I'm not bound by any corporate guidelines of what I can do with my time. And so it's so inspiring to hear you talk about that. And thank you so much. Is there anything you want to plug, or any speaking events, or anything you want to? We're entering our end of our little podcast here, so plug away if you have anything to mention.
I write a lot of blogs on a lot of subjects. So if you're interested to know more about what I think, createbusinessacademy.com is my business academy. It's got a lot of alternative advice, tons of free resources and things there. My own website, laurenwallett.com, has links to all my main businesses. So that's a good central point. And that blog really has details exploring the future, a lot about Creatrix, beyond productivity, tapping into some new age, futuristic things. And then if you want to hire my marketing services agency or media services, that's at ilovemalva.com. And that's like full service agency. So there's lots of various ways. Otherwise, just reach out on LinkedIn or Instagram. I mean, I'm all over online.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much, Lauren. I would love to have you back, and really enjoyed this conversation. One of my favorite so far. And those for you who are following us here at RealmIQ Sessions, thanks for tuning in, and catch more of these sessions on your favorite podcast platforms as well as YouTube. So thanks, and thanks again, Lauren. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone. You can now catch RealmIQ Sessions on your favorite podcast channels, including Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart Podcasts. Or listen to the full sessions at curtdoty.co/RealmIQ. If your company is interested in reaching an audience of AI professionals and decision makers to promote your event or product, we do have sponsorship opportunities. If you enjoy these discussions on AI, please push that subscribe button below. I'll see you in the next video.
RealmIQ. Book your corporate AI workshop today.
Subscribe to our Media Slam newsletter and learn more about the intersection of design, content, and technology. CurtDoty.co. Branding, marketing, and product development.